If and when we're officiating a wedding that has a bride, well, inevitably, she comes to the front, she gets to the front. We need an arrival plan. What do we do? What do we say when she gets there? I'm Mark Alangrolo. I am a full-time, booked solid professional wedding officiant in Toronto. And let's talk today about the whole bride arrives, who gives this woman tradition thing. It's a sticky wicket right now. So traditionally, when the bride would get to the front with her father, the officiant would look out, the priest, the man of the cloth, whatever it was, would look out and say, who gives this woman to this man today? You'll still see this in traditional settings, the royal wedding, whatever. So it's still out there. So back in the day, this was a no-brainer. This is just what you did. This is how you got the thing started. Well, nowadays, in an urban setting like Toronto, I find when I sit down with a lot of couples, a lot of brides are not so keen about that, the whole giving away. They don't feel like they are the property of their father. And so, I'm not his to give away. Fine. Are there any alternatives to that wording? Let's just put it on the table when the bride arrives at the front, giving away the bride, and my two other suggestions. So option number one is, of course, doing the thing, giving away the bride. Some brides want this option. They say, you know what, my dad has dreamed about this moment of giving me away. Maybe I'm not crazy about it. Maybe they don't care. That's cool. Far be it from me to criticize it. It's their wedding. And so if the bride says, yes, I want my father to give me away, of course, we do it. We are creating the perfect ceremony for the couple, not the other way around. So we can stick with the traditional wording, who gives this woman? I find that a little bit strange. So for me, sometimes I explain it this way. I'm aware that it's the tradition, but for me, when the officiant does that, it looks like the officiant is blind. It's like, when else do you ask a question to somebody, but you're kind of looking, who gives, as though they're not there? Like, we all know the officiant is asking this question to the person on the bride's arm. So yes, we can say who gives. I just think that's really impersonal. So I think we can keep the tradition and change the question a little bit. And here's what I like to suggest. First variation is we can keep the who gives, but I like to use the name of the couple. So who gives Sarah to be married to John today? And then the father will say, I do, or her mother and I do, that kind of thing. But at least you're using names instead of who gives this woman to this man. Where am I? Who are these people? Right? We want to avoid that if we can, I think. If we're going to keep this tradition of the giving away thing, here's what I prefer, is to actually use the father's name. So he gets to the front with his daughter, and I look at him and I say, James, do you give Sarah to be married to John today? Or do you give Sarah's hand to John today? And he will say, yes, I do. Yes, her mother and I do. Something like that. It's more personal. Viva la tradición, but we can change a little bit, update it, make it more contemporary. Now, option two, instead of the giving, we're using the word support, or we're using a word like blesses, or a faith-centered word, something like that. Who supports this union? Who blesses this union today? So we're still asking the question, but we're just saying something like, who supports Sarah's union to John? Who supports Sarah's marriage to John today? And of course, the variation on that is, again, to look the father in the eye. Let's say it's the dad. James, do you support Sarah's marriage to John today? And the third option is just to skip the officiant talking part totally, altogether. Just skip it. So a lot of the time in a wedding that I'll do, I'd say more than half of the couples opt for this in my context, is the bride and her father get down to the front, and instead of stopping and kind of like killing the music or fading it or whatever, we can do this nicely. But a lot of couples will just opt for the bride will stop at the front with her father, let's say, if that's who's walking her down, and then the music will continue. The groom will go forward, there'll be hugs and kisses exchanged, and I don't say anything. It's just all happening to the music, which of course is very nice because this sweet moment actually has some background music, and dad recedes to his seat. The couple come forward, take their hands and step forward and stand in front of me ready to go. So there you have it. In my wedding workshop planning session with my couples, this is what I lay out to them when we get to this part, and I say, what do you want to do here? Do you want to do the who gives this woman? And again, there's some more contemporary ways to do that as we discussed. You want to do the who supports, or James, do you support? Do you want me to ask more about support or blessing in this case rather than giving? That's option number 2. Option number 3, I don't say anything, I don't ask any question, it just happens to the music, you get in place, and then we're ready for the next part. There you go, hope you found that helpful. Like this video if you did. Drop a comment in the comment sections down below. Let's get a discussion going. Do you know of another variation? What do you think works for you? Also, I'd love if you subscribe to this channel. Every week, I'm dropping a new video with pointers and pro tips all about how to officiate a wedding like a pro. If you want a quick resource about how to officiate and write the perfect 10-part ceremony, you'll see the link for that down below. Grab that. It's a free guide I put together just for you. See you next week, next time, in the next video.